speech to start off from our CEO, Keith Michaelosaki, who everybody here should know, give us a cool little rundown on GTC, as well as a speech by my friend here, Sean Connolly, who I've known for many years, who's going to give us a rundown of all the new information to come out of Synergy, all the new updates coming from the Citrix side. And for those of you that haven't been to Synergy before, it's going to be in Anaheim again next year, very close. So please do join us, and you can always get a free dinner at GTC at the very least if you head up there. So make it worth your time. To get started, we have a quick speech from Keith Michaelosaki. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, Jay. And as I always feel whenever we have events, it's always a great honor for me and for every GTC team member to see so many IT professionals. This is a meeting of great minds, and we are honored and blessed to have you all. I know how busy IT professionals usually are. So the fact that you take a couple hours of your day to be with us means a lot to us. So, as Jay mentioned, this is our yearly Citrix Synergy recap. It's also our biggest conference usually that we hold every year. And this year, the Citrix Synergy conference was the best that I've ever seen. We've been a Citrix partner. I was a Citrix partner before starting GTC back in 1995, when I go back all the way to the Citrix WinView. And I've been to so many of these Synergy conferences. Many of you have been to Orlando, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and now they had it, in the West. And I want to thank also some of the people who were at Synergy and still joined us today. So thank you so much for that. So as I mentioned, this is a great meeting of great, IT minds, and we brought one of the great Citrix team members. I've been working with Citrix since 1995. Before that, since the early 90s. And we've always had, all the way from top leadership all the way to the field people, the best treatment as a customer of Citrix, as a partner, so we can provide you the best service. Mark Templeton in the keynote speech, and this keynote speech was exactly 2 weeks ago, Wednesday. So around this time, we were sitting in the big arena at the Anaheim Convention Center. And Mark's main message was that Citrix will continue to focus to enable the world to work better and live better. And as a Citrix Platinum partner, this is our mission. The two takeaways for me from the Citrix conference were enabling you to transform your IT infrastructure into a private cloud using Cloud Platform and Cloud Portal. And it's really after a few days at the conference, it finally clicked for me the difference. I'm sure Sean Connolly is going to touch on it, but if I get it, because I'm not a technology person like you are, most of you. But Cloud Platform basically allows you to aggregate all of the resources that you've been investing in for years. The virtualization, the servers, the storage, the networking, and allow you to be able to provision it to different departments and allow people to come in and do self-provisioning. The Cloud Portal, what that lets you do, the difference, is to allow you to meter the usage for the different departments and allow you to charge back. So IT becoming a service. So the technology is here. It's based on Apache Cloud Stack, and it's mature. As you know, this is part of the Citrix acquisition of Cloud.com. So it's mature technology. Please talk to us so we can start discussions around this technology. The second one for me was mobile device management, MDM, the Zen Mobile. Amazing technology and receiving a lot of adoption. So as a Citrix Platinum partner, the reason we exist is to also, with Citrix, help our customers work better, live better. We want to get to the point where we are always helping you get less and less IT infrastructure headaches with time. So this is our mission statement, is to basically help our customers get to the point where there's no more IT infrastructure headaches, because we provide the people, process, and technology to help our clients plan, build, and manage the IT infrastructure so you can focus on your core competencies. Now, this is how most of our customers, most IT departments are organized internally, right? Plan, build, manage. IT departments also, you provide people, process, and technology to the enterprise, to your organizations. And you plan, build, manage IT. And that's how we are striving to continue to transform our organization to also be organized that way, and to base our offerings based on that. So in the plan phase, we basically have 7 offerings. So in the plan, we do assessments, we do proof of concepts, and we do design. So the assessments, first we do a general IT infrastructure assessment, a Citrix health check, virtualization assessment or health check, Exchange Active Directory assessment, storage assessment, security assessment, and network assessment. So 7 fixed price offerings in the plan where we come in, look at the infrastructure, document the way you're doing things today, make recommendations based on best practices in each one of those areas. So we definitely would appreciate to continue discussions with your team. And to serve our customers best, we are divided internally into 7 divisions. And the divisions are also based on people, process, technology to help you plan, build, and manage. So the first one that I like to call your attention to is the one that has to do with people, IT staffing. We are a very mature IT staffing organization. We have an excellent recruiting staff. I one time challenged a director of IT who said, we hear a lot that we have already staffing agencies we work with, we don't need another one. So one day I challenged one of our customers and said, just throw me a bone. Give me one of your hardest to find jobs that none of your other partners can find for you. So sure enough, he gave us a job order. It was like a QA analyst for some CRM. And sure enough, our awesome team of recruiters were able to find someone faster than anybody else, and after months of suffering, they ended up hiring our candidates. It was a temp to hire, so whether it's a temporary contractor, temp to hire, direct hire, we have an amazing recruiting staff. So please, I wanted to ask you to give us a chance. Give us a chance to help you find the right people. The other division that has to do with people is training. We have a very rich Citrix schedule. Look it up, gtcsystems.com/training. At GTC, we offer breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snacks. Many of you have been at GTC and drinks all day in a very friendly environment. So come by for some training. We host people for training from all over the world. So now that we covered people, let's go to process. We have 3 divisions to serve you. We have the cloud, the GTC cloud division. And in that division, we do plan, build, manage, because we have to acquire the technology, plan everything, build it, manage it. And the purpose for our cloud is twofold. Number one is we want to share best practices. We want to learn from you and share best practices with you on how we're building our cloud. The difference between GTC Cloud and other clouds is, first of all, we're not new to the cloud because we've been enabling organizations with Citrix, with the Citrix platform since the early 90s. And as you know, Citrix always has enabled the private cloud to allow you to host applications centrally and allow people to access from anywhere using any device over any network connection. So we're not new to the cloud. And we are a professional services organization, and that's our next division, to help our clients plan and build. So in the cloud, we do plan, build, manage, because we have to plan the technology, build it, and manage it. But as a professional services organization, we're not new, a company that just started doing cloud, or a data center that just thought about doing cloud. We are a cloud. We have been a cloud builder using Citrix technology since the early 90s. So that's what really distinguishes our offering. So plan, build, manage in the cloud, plan, build for professional services, and then we go to managed services, which is basically to help you manage the technology. And we have invested as part of our growing the cloud. We're getting very mature even in our professional services, because as we build the cloud, we're learning a lot, and we want to share those best practices with you. And our cloud is powered by Citrix. So as we continue to plan, build, and manage our cloud and provide professional services, we've learned a lot. And over the last year, we've invested everything. We're all into this, as many of you know. We're completely invested into it, and we're committed to this Citrix-powered cloud. But that's what has enabled us to improve our managed services offering. So for example, right now, 6 months ago, we invested in 24/7 monitoring, live people sitting at the office to help you with the level platforms, is the technology that we use to monitor, manage, and continuous operations of if you need us, because we work as an extension of our clients' IT teams. So plan, build, manage in the cloud, plan and build in professional services, and then manage in our managed services. Technology, let's go to technology. We covered people and process. Let's go to technology. We are a products reseller. We can sell any IT product, and we have an amazing team that can help you with that. Hardware, software, license renewals. So please give us a chance, and I assure you that we will go out of our way to give you the best service and very, very competitive pricing. And last but not least, I don't know, probably many of you did not know that we also do application services. We develop websites, we manage websites for many of our customers, we do application development, web applications for many, many organizations, SharePoint consulting, and also now we just came back from our CRM that we use, service management. How do you manage service delivery in your organization? You know, some of you may use different for your help desk tickets, project management, all of that stuff. We use technology called AutoTask, and in our managed services and professional services, our clients can access and see what our people are doing for you on a daily basis. Now, this technology, AutoTask, and even our sales team still may not know, it's technology now that we can resell to our customers so that you can manage the service delivery in your IT organization. So I've mentioned all the 7 divisions of GTC, but what sets us apart? You know, we always try to distinguish ourselves from our competition. And what we think sets us apart is that we are committed to continuous improvement. Now, if you look at our website, you'll see client testimonials that go back all the way to 1995. We have them all on the website. Organizations across the nation. But what I tell people always, even though we have good reputation, we're not perfect yet. We're striving to that. It's a continuous process. But one thing I can assure our clients of is that when there is an issue, we will go out of our way to fix it. We will always strive to focus on doing the right thing. We will always tell you the truth. We are committed to servant leadership. And this is not just a phrase we take lightly or we just say it to say that we're maybe nicer than others. No, we want everyone. We're committed to it so that everyone, even our competitors, you know, to follow this model. We strive to follow the models of companies that really, focus on transforming their organizations into a servant leadership organizations. One of them is Southwest Airlines, Toro, WD-40, San Diego-based company, worldwide company based in San Diego, Datron World Communications. So we're committed to transform our organization into servant leadership. Now, if you think about servant leadership, and usually in these conferences, we try to share with you not only technology And that will be Sean Connolly's job. But a little bit about leadership, a little bit about how to improve as an organization, what we're doing at GTC, what we're focused on at GTC. And I want to learn from you too. If you have any book, management book or leadership book that you want to recommend, please let me know, because that's how we find out about these things. So all of you, each one of you, is to a certain extent a servant leader because you serve others. You have a family, right? Mom, dad, relatives, maybe children, maybe grandchildren, spouse, significant others. You serve other people. You also serve people in your organization, employees, team members, your organization. You serve the community. Many of you coach, soccer, whatever, baseball. You volunteer in soup kitchens. You do a lot for the community, or you donate money. So each one of us is a servant leader in a special way. Now, who came up with the phrase servant leadership? It was first coined by Robert Greenleaf, a legendary American management consultant that used to work for AT&T, director of management consulting. And he's the one who came up with it, with this phrase. I mean, it's been here for thousands of years, goes all back to Chinese culture and throughout the years. But to use it in business, the person in America who started it was Robert Greenleaf and said, the servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. Further, something that has touched me is a statement. That person, the servant leader, like all of you, is sharply different from one who is leader first. Perhaps because of the need to assuage or satisfy an unusual power drive or to acquire material possessions. The leader first and the servant first are two extreme types. So think of a spectrum. Between them, there are shadings and blends that are part of the infinite variety of human nature. So where do you fall in this spectrum? Sometimes for me, it varies by the day. One day I'm like leaning towards the power model, when I like having a tough conversation with Jason Pollock here. One day I'm really nice to Jason, So, but we have to always wake up and remind ourselves we're here to serve others. This is what business is all about. And how do we find out? By asking these questions. Do those served, whether it's my team members or my family or the community, do they grow? Are they growing as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? And what is the effect on the least privileged in society? Will they benefit or at least not be further deprived? So ask all these questions. Now, we're going to do part of our weekly seminar. We started doing weekly seminars at GTC 2 months ago. I'll get to it in a second, but this concept requires a whole event around it. So we'll cover it in future events some more. The other discipline that we use is flawless execution. We did it in our event in October when we launched the GTC Cloud. Based on the book by James Murphy, a former F-15 pilot used in the Air Force. At the heart of it is the flawless execution engine. Plan, brief, execute, debrief, win. They brought this methodology to the to the corporate world, and what's not used, the thing that's used the least in the corporate world is the debrief. It's a very powerful tool. After every project you do, you got to do a debrief. First, brief the plan, execute, but then do a debrief to bring lessons learned back into the standards. But as you can see, at the bottom of the pyramid, it's all about the people. People training standards goes all the way to the vision of the organization. Now, this is all good, right? Technology, flawless execution, but this has to do with the smarts of any technology, right? But you gotta have health. So compare it, use the analogy of a person. No matter how smart you are, right? If you're not healthy, you cannot serve the people you want to serve. So another discipline that we're trying to follow is based on the book by Patrick Lencioni. Some of you might have heard of it. The 5 dysfunctions of a team. What is the first one? Lack of trust. When there's a lot of politics in the organization. When people don't tell each other the truth, they tell each other what they like to hear, right? Reminds you, politics, a lot of politics. So that leads to fear of conflict. And conflict is not negative conflict. It's healthy exchange of ideas, unfiltered exchange of ideas. That has to happen if you want to have a healthy team. Because you cannot just be smart, right, or have systems, good IT systems. You can have the best technology, the best process, but if there's no dynamics, good team dynamics, the organization can fail. So lack of free flow of ideas can lead to lack of commitment to what's agreed on. It's not lack of commitment to the organization. Commitment to what the team agrees on, which leads to lack of avoidance of accountability and inattention to results. So this is what we're doing at GTC lately. I wanted to update you and let you know what we are doing, trying to improve our organization. And I'm open to hear from you. And I'm open. Also, feel free to call me anytime. When we did the technology conference back in October, many of our customers enlisted the speaker that we had from the Flawless Execution organization and brought them over to do some training. So feel free to ask me about our experience with all of this stuff. Now, as I mentioned, we started about a couple of months ago to do weekly seminars at GTC every Thursday. Today is an exception. We're not doing it Thursday because we're doing this event and we had planned it June 5th a while back. But we started every Thursday. We bring one of our great vendor sponsors here to present for just 1 hour, 12 to 1. Informal technology updates. And they are the ones who have, of course, Citrix is the main sponsor of this event. And many of all the vendors here have enabled us to have this event. We thank them for their sponsorship, but they are, speakers in this event on the weekly seminars that we do. So please join us. Our vendor pays for lunch, so don't worry about costing us lunch. So every week, even if you join us, some people are sensitive about coming and eating lunch every week. Don't worry about it. Please stop by. We'd love to have you, even if you come every week. If not, we're broadcasting it as a webinar, as we're doing with this event, we started last week. So please join us every week at GTC's office in Scripps Ranch, a weekly seminar or a certain technology, just 12 to 1, 1 hour. We stick to the time, 12 to 1. So join us for lunch. So I'd like to thank all of our vendor sponsors. I'd like to thank Absence. We have Bruno Basilio from Absence. User virtualization. They specialize in user virtualization. You know how you have server virtualization, desktop virtualization, app virtualization, storage virtualization. How about user profile virtualization to detach the user profile from the device? Please, if you haven't talked to anyone to the partners, I want to ask you for a favor. Before you leave, go talk to each one of them. And also, I want to ask a favor that go back to your organization and give us a chance to give them a chance to come by either on a phone call or to come on site to present to you and your group, because we don't take our technology partnerships lightly. We try to bring best of breed to you in the technology. EG Innovations, we have Parthi Kathirasan, Marco Magalona, and Earl Canova from EG Innovations. That's their table. They are in the back. They're sitting right there. They're wearing the blue. Amazing monitoring and troubleshooting tool that can help you with your VDI deployments. And computing. Amazing thin clients. In the back, we have CC Weiss, our rep, our Western region rep, Jim Manley, and Chris Berna from N Computing in the back. We just sold 500 units to a worldwide bank. And amazing thin clients, one of the best and the most affordable. And the price range is just amazing. So please look into it. We have ESET, Gina Laws from ESET. We think it's the best virus protection engine, and we're using it also in the cloud, in our cloud. And all of these technologies that we're mentioning today, we are definitely using it in our cloud. Whiptail, solid state storage, flash-based storage, amazing technology. Many of our customers have adopted it. We have Michael Fletcher, Lauren Weimer, and Chris Twigg from Whiptail. Please talk to them. Veeam, we have David Burney from Veeam. Backup and recovery technology for a virtualized environment. They started this amazing technology for a virtualized environment, not like the rest of the market that had backup technology for a physical world, and then they retrofitted for a virtual world. It's not that good. the best backup and recovery technology. We use it in the cloud and saved us in the cloud for many of our customers many times. Tricerat, we have Geo and Signaris from Tricerat on that side, the best printing tools for a Citrix environment. And we have Cox, Marnie Peterson from Cox. We use them. They are our partner for our customers who want to have communication lines for the cloud. We have the team from AITP, Association of Information Technology Professionals. We have Mark Clark and Ben Willig and another gentleman, I forgot your name, I'm really sorry, sitting right the next building over there. What's your name? Name? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. So they have the AITP cloud conference every year. It's going to be in October, October 3rd, right here in this in the Mar Hilton. As a matter of fact, we were a sponsor last year, and that's how we found out that this is a good venue, and we decided to have our event here. Of course, last but not least, I didn't forget any of the vendors because I'm coming to Citrix, right? I covered everyone. I want to thank every GTC team member, of course, for their hard work. We have many GTC team members here. Citrix is the main sponsor of this event. We have our awesome channel manager, Roger Shamba, sitting over there in the back. And, of course, our speaker, director of SEs for North America, Sean Connolly. And we have a large contingency from Citrix App DNA sitting over there in the back. We have Samit Patel, Eric Cerno, Ellen O'Halloran, and Kevin Nardone from the Citrix App DNA team. We were doing a project for a government customer in the Midwest, actually in the South. And the person we had to do the project, they didn't have budget to get App DNA. So the person doing, but basically a migration, a XenApp migration, right? What version to what version was it, Daniel? Thank you, 4.5 to 6.5. Just a XenApp migration, but they had 200 applications. Over 200 applications. The consultant who we had on the job said, man, I can do this in days if they can just get me App DNA. But it took about 2 months to test all these applications manually to see if everything will be okay on the new platform. So for any technology migration, it doesn't have to be Citrix, any technology migration, Citrix App DNA team presents some great tools. Please stop by and talk to them. And at the Q&A, maybe we'll bring Kevin Nardone here and he presented in our weekly seminar a few weeks ago. So, the GTC Cloud. It's a state-of-the-art IT infrastructure that we're setting up to share best practices with you. We want to learn from you. Please share with us. And also to provide you, to serve you with a public cloud option, whether for DR or for a hybrid cloud or a full cloud for certain departments. You have the cloud brochures on the tables. It describes everything that we do. I'm going to show you a 3-minute video in a second. But we're building the GTC Cloud to serve you, to share best practices. That's number one goal. And to provide you with a public cloud option month to month, very flexible. We're a company with a heart and a company that you can trust. Because the cloud, you know, 4 things that are important for the cloud is performance, the security of the cloud, the support, and the access. But there is also a 5th piece, which is trust. We are a company that you can trust. And as I mentioned, you have the ability today to transform your IT infrastructure into a cloud and serve your customers with Citrix Cloud Platform and Cloud Portal. So now I would like to run the GTC Cloud video for you. It's a 3-minute video. For those of you who are on the webinar, please go to gtccloud.com and run the video on your machine. So go to gtccloud.com and run the video.
We built the GTC Cloud, a dream IT infrastructure to serve you with 3 unique plans: DR Cloud, Hybrid Cloud, and Full Cloud. DR Cloud is our offsite backup and disaster recovery plan. At a minimum, every organization should have a DR in the cloud plan. We use the latest top-tier technologies to provide the most consistent offsite backup, replication, business continuity, and disaster recovery. You can further leverage the public cloud by creating a hybrid cloud, bridging your corporate IT infrastructure to our secure public GTC cloud to achieve unlimited possibilities immediately as your infrastructure needs grow, and especially when you retire legacy devices. We can make this possible by extending your network into the GTC cloud using Citrix Cloud Bridge Layer 2 connectivity. And when you're ready to host your entire infrastructure, data, applications, and desktops in the cloud, enabling full mobility, we can accommodate your needs with our full cloud plan. Why own and maintain obsolete technology when you can have the latest technology at your fingertips on a more affordable month-to-month basis with the best people and process behind it? With GTC Cloud, your infrastructure is always secure, fast, and available because we provide the people, process, and technology to free your organization from mundane IT infrastructure tasks so that your IT team can focus on your core business and strategic initiatives. So why GTC Cloud? We are not new to the cloud. We've been building public and private clouds using Citrix technologies since 1995. Only month-to-month plans because we want to earn your business every month. There's no need to be tied up to multi-year contracts. It's not in your best interest. We are committed to servant leadership. We believe business exists for the sake of others, not just for profit. We are in business to serve our employees, customers, and communities through high-quality offerings. We donate 10% of our net profits to charity. It's time to leverage the cloud. We can customize a plan for you. Wherever you are now with your company IT, we have you covered. Whether you're looking for added security and peace of mind, DR Cloud, or an easy transition to extend your corporate IT to leverage the public cloud immediately, hybrid cloud, or completely hosting your IT infrastructure in the cloud, full cloud, our plans have you covered. For more information, call us today or visit gtccloud.com to answer a few questions so we can provide you with a cloud proposal. With GTC Cloud, there's no more need for IT infrastructure headaches. gtccloud.com, a division of GTC Systems Incorporated, an award-winning global IT service provider. Powered by Citrix.
All right, powered by Citrix. So speaking of servant leadership, I've come to know many, many people from Citrix over the years. And as I mentioned, I've been working with Citrix since 1992, when I used to have hair. And so all the way from Mark Templeton, the CEO, all the way to field people, we've always been treated better, than any other partner that we've ever had. And all of our partners are great people, but Citrix has been a partner, as I mentioned, even before starting GTC. One person that has always given us utmost service with a lot of passion. He moved up with Citrix very quickly. He came to Citrix with the Reflectant acquisition. Remember EdgeSight? The EdgeSight technology came from an acquisition, company called Reflectant a few years ago. Moved up really fast, and now he's director of SEs because I think not only because he's smart, but he has a servant's heart. He really serves his customers to his utmost ability and has always given us the best service, and that's why I kind of asked him to come and do the Synergy recap. So please help me welcome my good friend Sean Connolly, Citrix's Director of SEs for North America.
All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me well. Thank you for taking the time to come out here today. We should have an exciting show. Let's watch a quick video of some of the updates. And I'll tell you, I'll let you guys. So really, when we walked out of Citrix, we walked out of Synergy this last 2 weeks ago, there were a few real important key messages. One of them was going mobile. So Citrix is going mobile. We are definitely on the move when it comes to mobility. Because if you think about it, what has Citrix been doing for the last 20 years? We've really been enabling people to do their jobs from anywhere, anytime, and any place. This is what we do. It's in our DNA. So if you start to think about how technology is somewhat, I kind of look at it as technology and kind of the internet and catching up in essence to what Citrix is already offering. It's fantastic technology. But on top of that, we really have our motto of, live better, work better. We really do look at that as kind of our core message for our company. And when I talk about live better, work better, I have a great story because I just recently moved. And I moved up to the Fallbrook area. If anybody knows that, it's the northern San Diego area. Great area. We moved from the Corona area down. And, oops, I sort of forgot to get the cable set up at the house, right? I didn't have any cable at the house. We moved in. I set up, of course, being the good geek that I am, I set up all of my computers first. My wife wasn't very happy about that, but that's, how things sort of work, right? I set up the office, got the computers working, got the network working, little internal LAN going. So stuff running pretty. And then I realized I didn't have, basically, I didn't have any network. All I had was my MiFi. So I realized, well, I got to prepare for this presentation here. So I needed to spend some time and kind of build out, what am I going to do? My presentations, all of my different, demos that I wanted to do. Well, what am I going to do? All I got is my MiFi. Well, luckily enough, our technology enables us to really work from anywhere. And that's really what's the most powerful thing about our technology. The fact that I can do my job really anywhere that I am, on any device, from a phone, a simple phone, to a tablet, to a laptop, to your machine, in essence. I could probably sit down right in front of, grab your machine, and start doing my job. Very powerful when you think about what our technologies do. And so today we're going to take a few minutes, probably about the next hour or so, and really go through a little recap of what we announced at Synergy, some of the great technologies that we announced. So my name is Sean Conley. I have responsibility for the sales engineering organization across the Americas. Americas include Canada, North America, and Latin America. So I have a lot of responsibility, but one of the things that I get the opportunity to do is to talk to customers a lot across the different levels, from small businesses to very large enterprises to cloud providers, all the way across the board. And the common thread is, looking at our technology as this enabling technology. They all look and say, I need to deliver this service to these people, and they're located in the middle of nowhere, and I have to get this service to them. How am I going to go about doing that? Citrix is the way. We provide the services that allow you to do these types of functions, to deliver technology out to those end users so they can do their job in an efficient way and really work from anywhere, anytime, and any place. So let me dive in real quick here. Obviously, make sure my technology works. There we go. So real quick, a little bit of a Synergy recap. You guys who were sitting in the room a little earlier, we were running the video, kind of playing a little bit of Mark Templeton's keynote. So, I always say I'm not as handsome as Mark, so it's a little bit harder to step into his shoes and try to deliver this message out to you folks. But hopefully today you'll walk away with a really good understanding of how and what we're doing as we move forward, as we go mobile. So we're going to go mobile together. So a couple of few updates that are more important, are actually very important, that we covered off. We're really starting with Cloud Platform. So Cloud Platform is really how we manage and run cloud infrastructure. So Cloud Platform, we acquired, as Keith mentioned, Cloud.com a couple years back, and we started to really look at what people were doing from the cloud. If everybody's familiar with our Zen server product, it powers the majority of cloud offerings. Right? The Zen-based hypervisor is really what runs most of Amazon, most of Rackspace, a lot of these other environments. It's one of the largest, especially from an open source type environment, from a hypervisor standpoint. So Cloud Platform is really that kind of bolt-on to what we were doing, or what everybody is doing with kind of the cloud. Really now I have these hypervisors, I have all of these environments that I need to manage. I'm taking advantage of the scalability I get on hardware, but now I need to be able to scale and start to manage this in a more efficient way. And I do that via our Cloud Platform product. So in production, roughly 200 plus clouds, some of the largest in the world. One particular customer running over 40,000 servers. That is powerful. That is a proof of really what this technology can do for you. And as Keith mentioned, taking Cloud Portal to that next level. Cloud Portal is really the interface that you push out to your end users. Has anybody ever provisioned an Amazon environment, right? Anybody ever provisioned an Amazon environment in the audience, right? I mean, most people have gone in and at least messed around with an Amazon environment, brought up an EC2 machine, and done something with it. Well, it's really simple and easy. It's very wizard-driven. You simply point and click and start to pick. I need this much RAM. I need this kind of storage. I need this type of CPU. I need this. You just really walk through it. So as an IT individual, it's very quick, very simple, very easy. And that's what Cloud Platform is, the Cloud Portal is really all about. It is that front end that allows you to, not only for your own internal IT organization to provision out their environment, but also for your customer. So as we all turn into IT as a service, I think everybody's being pressured in the IT organizations to become more service-oriented, become more IT as a service. You'll start to see that this is really how people want to absorb. Businesses want to absorb. Business lines want to absorb their technology. They want to be able to point and click. I need to be able to test a new application. I need to point. I need to click. This is what I need, and I want you to provision it very quickly and very rapidly. Allowing them to take the step away from waiting for IT to do all of the work, which sometimes, in the past could be weeks, could be months, depending on how backed up IT was to get a project underway. This allows them to do it very quickly, very easily. So some of the customers. Big names, Korea Telecom, Edmunds, Autodesk, Overstock, a lot of customers that you currently use. A lot of us shop on some of these sites. So big, huge, enormous clouds in production right now. Very powerful. And Apache Cloud Stack. So recently we moved Cloud Stack over to the Apache open source environment. And this is really a place to have it grow rapidly. This is really adding a lot of what I would say oomph behind it, in essence. Right? We're getting 35,000 members now, helping on top of our Cloud Stack platform. That's huge. That's huge. Pushing this environment forward more rapidly and adding more technology and more features and functionality to the product very quickly. The fastest growing in Apache's history. That says something. Because most websites, right, were ran on Apache servers for a long time, right? So telling you that you now are having a project that's growing more rapid than even their web environments is enormous. ShareFile. So when we talk about ability, or we talk about the ability to do our jobs, right? We can get our desktops, we can get our applications, but the one element that we all need is our data. So if I'm roaming around and I'm on a tablet at one point in time, I'm at my office computer on the next time, I'm on an in-computing thin client at the next moment in some other office, and I'm working, I need to be able to have my data follow me wherever I go, because I need to be able to do my job. Mobility is what most of us are doing. I'm looking around the room here and I'm seeing all the Apple, the iPads everywhere. I see your phones everybody's on. The key piece is if I can do my job anywhere, that is where power lies. So ShareFile allows us to move that data around with us. Takes all of those files, all that data that I need to do my job, and moves it with me. So wherever I go, it follows me. One of the key elements of ShareFile, real powerful, was called storage zones. Storage zones allows us to connect. Allows us to connect to cloud environments, allows us to connect to basically private environments. So one of the real powerful things is when you think about like Dropbox, right? This is what we kind of refer to it as the Dropbox problem. And I think most big IT organizations are dealing with it in a big way right now. And the reality is, right, the data is stored in the cloud. So if I have really mission critical data, what am I going to do, right? I got people running around in my office with Dropbox everywhere. Most networking admins are trying to block all of that kind of access right now because they're realizing all of this corporate, IP, this intellectual property is just being synced up into some private area up in the cloud, or not even private area, some public area up in the cloud, which I believe it was, I think it was about a year ago or a year plus ago, where they actually had a breach, a pretty bad breach. You basically just went to somebody's folder and you were able to go right in and look right at it. Every document that they had. Talk about a problem, right? So take that same approach, but now giving customers the ability to say, I may want some data out on the cloud just because of costs. I want to be able to do it in an affordable way. But I also have other pieces of data that I want to have stored more in my control or on my premise. So it's not accessible. It gives us the storage zone capability. So choose where your data is stored. Next piece is the connectors. So announcing at this, particularly at Synergy, we announced our connectors. And this allows us to connect into SharePoint. This allows us to connect in and, and deliver that down to any mobile device, and then also even leverage some of SharePoint's capabilities for check-in, check-out. So again, integration into SharePoint is critical, and these connectors are very, very powerful. Now, one of the other key pieces is the support for Windows Azure. So everybody's starting to see Azure really pop up now, right? We've all been seeing Amazon and Spaces and the soft layers and the GTC. Everybody has these clouds, but now now with Microsoft coming out with Azure, all of a sudden now we have another option. So people who are more interested in the Microsoft functionality are really running on top of Azure, another opportunity to put your data in another place. So let's talk a little bit more about Microsoft. So what are we doing with Microsoft? So obviously we've had a long relationship with Microsoft, going back to a lot of our technology, and in fact most of our technology is built on top of a Microsoft platform. We deliver on top of RDS, we deliver on top of Windows Server. So we've been doing this for a long time and working very closely with Microsoft. So we have some great announcements that we made at Synergy in regards to our relationship and our increased relationship. So with 2012 and Windows Server 2012, there were some great enhancements to supporting Hyper-V on top of Windows 2012. You had their density increased a tremendous amount. Lower VM storage costs, right? They do a lot of different techniques on storage now. Instead of having to always push it back to a NAS or a SAN, you always have the capability of doing even some local storage type models. So they have a lot of capability in 2012 that's pretty amazing. High performance VHDs and AppV5 support. So really, taking what Microsoft is doing and then, again, enhancing it with our technologies. This is what Citrix has been known for and what we've been doing for many, many years. Another piece, Windows 8 support. So again, the go-to product support and ShareFile, native UI support, fantastic. I think Windows 8, it's interesting, as you look around, I saw a report where, we started to see, Windows XP is still, interestingly enough, XP is still one of the larger implementations. If you look out there, right? I mean, they're an interesting report because you started to think, well, Windows 7 was out for a long time, so why hasn't everybody already moved to Windows 7? There's a lot of people still stuck on XP. And we talked about AppDNA a little bit earlier. That's another great solution to really help you with those migrations. It's one of these tools that's fantastic when it helps to move this down the line. It allows you to really see what's going to work right, where the problems are going to be when you're moving your applications from XP to Windows 7. And now we have Windows 8. So being able to natively support that is critical. Finally, really supporting it on top of the receiver. So, almost day one when the Windows 8 came out and was released to the public, we had our receiver built in. So being able to support that on those Surface devices is critical. Being able to utilize those devices. In fact, I'm running Windows 8 on this device right here. And, it takes a little bit of time to get used to the new UI. But after you get used to it, and I think with the release of Blue, they're going to actually reintroduce the start menu, at least from what I'm hearing out there, which is probably one of the biggest gripes. In fact, I had to gripe about that too, because my start menu I needed my start menu. I'm really ready for just moving to something else. But it's fantastic, and it's really integrated into that tile format. So it really gives that experience of what Windows 8 is all about. Desktop player, I think if you were here for the video, in fact, there were probably two really big announcements during Synergy that I thought were groundbreaking for us. This is the other one, and I'll talk about the other one in a little bit here, but this particular with the desktop player is critical. Being able to support the Macs and Mac environments, right, on offline VDI support and online VDI support is critical. So being able to take your machine offline on your Mac, something that we've been able to do with Windows for a long time, but again, now doing it on the Mac is critical. It really expands the reach, because if we look around as well, how many Macs do I see in the room? A lot. Right? I mean, this is a blended environment now. When you look at IT and you look at most end users, this is very blended. You see lots of Mac products, lots of Apple products, and lots of Windows devices kind of blending in. And then you add the tablets and the phones and everything, and now we just have a slew of different devices coming in. But this is critical, being able to support anytime, anywhere access to those virtual desktops. With a centralized management, again, taking advantage of that centralization and managing that one image, and pushing it out and allowing those users to be able to access their desktop on the go on their Macintosh device, which is critical. A little bit of a view of it. Won't be doing a demo today, but you'll start to see this release in tech preview mode in June. So be prepared to see that, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and take a look and provide us some feedback. Cisco. As Mark said in the keynote, if you were here for the video, Cisco, the relationship with Cisco has been very interesting. In fact, I've had a lot of direct connection with what we do with Cisco. And we've gone into lots of different areas of the Cisco business. First off with UCS. So any UCS customers in the room? Anybody using UCS in the room? A couple people in the back. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic platform. I mean, it is an amazing platform. Its abilities to scale are second to none. I mean, it's a very interesting platform from that perspective. And our relationship with them has been huge. In fact, majority of kind of solutions running on top of Cisco UCS are Zen Desktop. We have a very close relationship with kind of our implementations with UCS, so very critical there. We also do a lot of different things. So folks are like, well, are you guys just doing work with UCS? No, we have a much, much broader relationship going on with Cisco. In fact, from the mobility side of things, working with our Zen mobile product and their identity services engine, critical, being able to integrate those two pieces together. NetScaler VPX, all the way down into the Nexus, running a VPX on top of their Nexus platform. Very, very powerful. And then with our cloud platform and their Cisco One, UCS and Nexus combination built in and our support for those with our cloud platform solutions. Very powerful, allows us to really expand and grow in how we work with Cisco. So this is a very critical relationship for us. In fact, you'll probably see a lot more activity with Cisco as we move forward. And a very, very, very nice relationship being built there. Also, with the NetScalers, doing some very heavy cross-selling and reference selling. Cisco announced end of life for their application delivery controller, the ADC product, earlier this year. And they're basically turning to us and saying, we're going to reference the NetScaler product line for that replacement. We have validated designs for the NetScalers, as well as joint interoperability between those two. So the Innovation Award, you saw a few, and you saw the winner during the video. If you were here a little earlier, we were playing the video, kind of walking through some of the Innovation Awards. And the reason why we kind of wanted to show that is because seeing what people do with our technologies is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. People do so many things with Citrix technologies. They solve so many different problems, from the hospital that's using Citrix technologies to, I wouldn't say save lives necessarily, but ultimately they are. I mean, it is, when they are putting their their medical records, when they're looking at PACS images, when they're doing their day-to-day jobs as a doctor, it is critical. Most of them are using some sort of Citrix technology to either connect back into their infrastructure, a centralized infrastructure, or something along those lines to do their jobs. You also talk about education, another huge marketplace for us in education. If you think about education, these were environments that were traditionally very, very spread out. Lots of servers, everybody bought their own, very complex environments because point blank, every little division of the school had their own environments. Now being able to pull all of those things together and be able to supply a simpler and a more direct kind of connection by leveraging, again, Citrix technologies, centralized desktops and applications, and also their data. Imagine being a student now, how much different that would be. Not lugging around, big, huge books, and also not trying to carry around your laptop, just going in and being able to move from classroom to classroom, have your desktop follow you wherever you go, and all the things you need to do your classwork. Very powerful when you think about it. Let's talk. Let's show a quick video. And again, I think I said off the beginning of this, we're actually running majority of this off of a MiFi that's sitting in the back here because I didn't trust the hotel network as much as I probably should have. But I'll just leave it there. Let's watch this video real quick, so we'll see how it works. I'm a big risk taker when it comes to videos, and then I'm also going to do a demo in a little bit. So we'll see how well all this works on a MiFi. Let's launch this video real fast. And I'll do some dancing while we're waiting. And anybody can access these. And for the folks on the webinar, you can access them. You can see the link right here, which is on the Citrix. Go right to the main site, and you'll be able to see the actual work better. And you can see a lot of the different videos that we used in the Innovation Award. So if you're looking for what types of scenarios, what types of customers are using our technologies and how they're using it, these are great places to start. We're going to watch a really quick what Medellin is doing in Colombia to really kind of virtualize and deliver desktops out and centralized services. Yeah. Centralized services to their users. Oh, Sorry, guys, 1 second.
Medellín como ciudad ha tenido que lidiar con problemas serios durante mucho tiempo. Pero gracias a la tecnología, estos problemas están desapareciendo. Hoy en día está reconocida como la ciudad más innovadora del mundo. Esta transformación se debe a nuestra infraestructura y a nuestro trabajo en educación. La educación no es una de tantas maneras, es la única manera de crear un nuevo futuro para Medellín. Lo primero que hicimos fue invertir en computadoras y el acceso virtual a aplicaciones. Lo que nos atrajo de Citrix fue que nos dimos cuenta que nos entendían, que éramos un equipo. Ellos crearon una estructura de nodos que permite que cada una de las 407 escuelas estén conectadas por medio de un centro de datos común. Con Cell Desktop, cuando se actualiza un nodo, se actualiza la plataforma entera, lo que permite que los 400.000 estudiantes de toda la ciudad tengan en forma inmediata el mismo acceso a la misma información. Esto significa que el departamento de sistema ya no tiene que administrar las escuelas una a una, ahora en cambio puede enfocarse en objetivos mucho más estratégicos, como implementar servicios en la nube o equipos móviles. También hemos reducido el consumo de energía en un 25%. Hemos duplicado la vida útil de nuestros computadores, reduciendo el desperdicio de material electrónico en un 50%. Como pueden ver, el pasar de un sistema antiguo a un sistema nuevo y eficiente tiene muchos beneficios, tanto financieros como humanos. Es por lo que Medellín será una ciudad digital mundial en el 2016. Razón por la cual estos niños y niñas se graduarán con una visión diferente de lo que es la vida.
So, whoa, sorry about that, thank you. So you can see really what Citrix is doing. It's amazing, the way we're affecting how people learn, how people are educated, how IT organizations are run, how people deliver services out to their end users. It's amazing what's happening right now. And I think we're all kind of living, and I always tell, working with Citrix for about the last 8 years, it's been really impactful to watch the change. I mean, I think all of us have seen, especially with these influx of tablets, how computing has changed dramatically just over the last 5 years. It's been just, dramatic. And I think as we sort of move forward, it's going to become more impactful, quicker, more rapid adoption and rapid change. And to be able to do rapid change, we have to have solutions that can help us deliver those, right? We're starting to see big movements with, for example, big data. How can we adopt, how can we leverage massive databases, massive data structures that we want to be able to leverage to pull, critical information out of? How do we leverage that? How do we architect our solutions so that we can give our end users the ability to access their desktops from anywhere at any time? Give me 2 seconds while I spin back over here real quick. But it's critical when we think about all of these types of solutions, because what we realize is we need the infrastructure. We need to be able to provide that anywhere access to our users. And this is really where Citrix has really made a huge impact along our customers. So we talked about it kind of early on, going mobile, right? Our CEO, Mark Templeton, he loves some pretty classic music like The Who, and he loves the Moody Blues, right? Now I don't, The Who I'm okay with. Moody Blues, I think he sells, by just mentioning them, he sells the majority of like iTunes, downloads on Moody Blues just by him bringing it up. But, you know, he talked about that song, you know, really, we're going mobile, right? I mean, people are going mobile. The fact that you, again, looking across the room, the mobile phones, the tablets, I mean, most of you folks are probably doing your jobs right now, right? I mean, doing our job right now, right? Absolutely. So this is where we start to realize, you know, the change. Because, again, 5 years ago, we weren't doing our jobs right now. We were pretty much offline, probably getting paged or text or something going, we got an outage, get on the phone real quick, you know, we got to talk to you. People running out trying to make sure that they can respond. We're responding right here, right now. So going mobile is huge, hugely important, and this is where we're going. So if we think about most, you know, priorities for CEOs, I mean, most of them are looking in CTOs, they're looking at, you know, mobility is really in the top 3. It's really what these folks, their mission critical in what they're trying to accomplish throughout the year. Their missions for this next few years and their evolution is around mobility. How am I going to adopt this slew of devices? Because if we think about it, IT probably didn't supply majority of these. But yet you're accessing your corporate environments and you're doing your job right now on them, which is a very interesting concept. Especially if there's is there any security guys in the room? Right? These guys, you know, people in security are at this stage of the game, I think their minds are just, they're done. Right? They're like, forget this. You know, first off, it started with the CEO who walked in and said, here's this tablet, support it. You know, I heard this story over and over and over again when we were, you know, early on I had a lot to do with the adoption of Zen Desktop, our desktop virtualization product. And it was interesting because that was one of the things that, you know, they all said the same thing. Well, where did these come from? Where did these devices come from? Well, the CEO walked in and went, support it. Thank you. How do I do that now? And they had to look and scramble and figure out, okay, well, how am I going to give him a secure environment? It's kind of his device, right? It's not my device. I don't own it. I didn't put a lock on it. I didn't, you know, the traditional model that we've all lived and breathed in, right? The, you know, the bar-coded laptop, right? The deadly bar-coded laptop that you carry around and, oh my gosh, you know, don't do anything on this laptop that you wouldn't do in the office, right? So God forbid, right? It's like they're watching Big Brother, right? The ability now is that most people, especially the generation coming behind most of us, they are looking at doing their job anywhere, and they want their own devices. They're not interested in this corporately issued device. In fact, an interesting story about Citrix, about, oh gosh, I would say it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we implemented our own BYO program. We called it BYOC, right? Bring your own computer. And what we did is we said, okay, everybody in the company, if you want to have your own device, we're going to give you $2,100 stipend. Go buy whatever you want. Got to buy 3 years of support. So it makes sense, right? So you're not calling the help desk when the device breaks. You call them, right? So our help desk was, I think they jumped up and down and clapped and cheered, right? Because they watched their, you know, the amount of calls that came into the help desk for a break-fix issue went down to almost nothing. It was super compelling, super compelling. And people went out and started bringing in their own devices. And what's interesting about it being your own device is it's just that. It's got your personal stuff on it, your personal pictures. It's a laptop or a tablet. Maybe they went out and got a cheaper laptop because they had $2,100. So they could go out and go buy a cheap laptop and go get a tablet. So, I mean, they could use the money however they saw fit. So we had a lot of people that did that. They bought a couple of different devices. And they went over, and the key to it all is that Citrix, even when we were acquired about 8 years ago, I came from the Reflecton acquisition, as Keith said, day one I was able to do my job. Day one. Imagine that. I walked into the company. I had my own laptop from a previous company that was not connected, that wasn't joined to their AD, anything like that. And I basically started my job, and I was doing it in a matter of 1 day. All I had to do was download at that time. It was the program neighborhood. So if you've been with Citrix for a while, it was way back in the day with our older kind of endpoint client, right? You put on the device. I simply downloaded that, and all of a sudden I had access to every application I needed. My SAP, right? I think most of us as employees, we love SAP because that's how we get our expenses. That's how I get paid back, especially if you're a road warrior like me. I love getting my expenses done quickly. And all the other applications, my Outlook, everything I needed to do my job, I did it very quickly. So this is where we think about going mobile. How do we go mobile? What are we going to do as IT individuals in this room? What are we going to do to help this next generation? How are we going to be able to allow people to come into my company and get on their tablet, get on their own personal device, and still do their job, but do it in a secure fashion? Because again, that's the other problem. Is it secure? Can I rely on this being secure? Well, absolutely. And we're going to talk about that a lot today. So we'll go through, where mobility is really going and why you hear Citrix talk a lot about mobility and going mobile, because that's really where everything is going. And I believe if I was a betting man, everyone in the room will be going there as well. So we're all on the ride together. When we look at mobility, again, talked about this really quickly, but it's about transformation. It's about the workflow being transformed, how people work with their applications, the engagement of the workforce, how we work with different people in the organization, how we work with our customers, how we go out there into the field, and then also reinvention, really taking all of that together. Where do people work? We implemented a strategy at Citrix in some of our corporate offices where we just have hoteling space. So nobody has an office. Everybody walks in. There's a thin client. They walk up to the thin client. They sit down. They do their job. When they're done, they get up, they leave, and off they go. The other side of it is the majority of Citrix people work remotely, work from home, work on the road. I work probably more in a hotel room or on some plane somewhere if it's not United and they actually have wireless on the plane. That's a dig at United, by the way. So if you ever fly United, they always seem to not have wireless on their planes yet, which is just boggles my mind. But which is actually, by the way, somewhat a good thing because unfortunately, when you have now wireless everywhere, what does your boss want from you? Work from everywhere, right? So it's just this, it's kind of a nice thing somewhat. I can always say, yeah, they don't have wireless, it's United, guys. But really, changing how we work, changing how we do our jobs. It's not going 9 to 5 back to the same old cubicle and doing your job. We're doing our jobs here in a hotel while you're listening to me. People are working constantly. In fact, there was a really interesting piece of data that somebody showed me where it was, you watched how basically the email usage and everything at the company, 8 in the morning it really spikes, gets kind of low at about noon when everybody goes off to lunch, and you can kind of see it across in the different areas, right? You can kind of see it, and then you see it about pick up again at about 4, and then it really drops off after 5 o'clock. But one of the more interesting pieces of data is that it picks back up at about 8 o'clock, right? The kids are in bed. Time to start working again. So we don't just work these 9 to 5 schedules anymore. We don't just have this simple, 9 to 5 schedule where all of a sudden we just shut down. I don't think anybody in the room does that anymore. We're working constantly, always on, always replying, always doing something. So it really is how we've reinvented how we do our jobs or how we work. And that really is all about mobile work styles, really how we do our jobs wherever we are on any device at any time. So a little bit more on what we're doing to really help, especially with the Windows environments. What are we doing with our Windows environments? So if anybody was familiar with Project Avalon, this was really a project that we looked at. We heard our customers. Our customers said, we love your desktop virtualization, we love your application virtualization, but we're getting tired of having all these consoles and all these different environments that we got to hack through and work through. And as an admin, I'm having to bounce into 5, 6, 7, 8 different consoles to try to do simple tasks. We want you to simplify how you deliver these desktops and apps. And so we heard them. We heard you folks. We heard you guys. We listened loud and clear, and we said, we have to rethink this. And this is where Project Avalon really became incubated. And Project Avalon is about, again, delivering those as a service and really delivering them as a mobile service. Because, again, that's where people are really getting their technology, their desktops, their apps, their data, how they do their jobs. So we wanted to make that simpler. Announced at Synergy, Zen Desktop 7. So this was a really big announcement for us because, again, it's one platform to deliver both, simplifying the management of your applications and your desktops. This is a critical announcement for us because the reality is taking FlexCast and then combining these in what we call our FMA architecture. This takes our traditionally separate, right? We had an application environment and you had a desktop environment, and you had to kind of blend them together. In this environment, you're doing it from the same consoles. And really, I think we had at some point in time probably, I would say, 6+, 7+ consoles that somebody would have to do just to get a desktop out the door or get an application out the door. They'd have to bounce through quite a few things to get through, which is great because people became very skilled at doing these things. But the reality is we moved that down to really 2. Zen Desktop Studio and Zen Desktop Director. So between the Studio and the Director, you can do all of the tasks you need to do in a simple and easier fashion. Studio is, again, for the building and designing. Studio is very straightforward and very easy to use. Go in, a lot of wizard-based, driven type environments. I need to build up 50 different desktops. They need to have this base image. They're this user. They're going to be found in this AD. Based on this AD, they get these type of applications based on the groups that they're associated to in AD. Very quick, very rapid. And then Desktop Director is just that. That's your directing. That's where you actually go in to monitor, to manage, to see how well these applications and desktops are performing, and to make either troubleshooting or adjustments to what's happening based on the data that's being served up into the director. HDX Insight. So with XenDesktop 7 comes HDX Insight, powered by our NetScaler device. So this brings us to that next level. This takes kind of that monitoring that we did more on the kind of the server or the machine level and brings in the networking piece of it, which was somewhat always missing. What's happening across the pipe? Is the latency just going crazy in there? Are we having 300 millisecond plus latency and it's causing huge delays? Insight gives us that ability, bundled right into Director, giving you that end-to-end view, powered again by our NetScaler products. Windows Server 2012 and System Center 2012 support with XenDesktop 7. With the 2012 connector, now you can build out and do a lot of the basic tasks that you used to do, or even you would normally do inside of our base tools. You're now able to do them within System Center, even going to the point of provisioning out XenDesktop environments. Very powerful when you think about that. Being able to take tools and environments that you're already used to and being able to use those. And full App v5 integration. So streaming these into your desktops, right? So allowing you to use App v sequences to stream those applications into your environments. HDX Mobile, taking again HDX, which is what stands for our high definition user experience. So when we talk about HDX, a lot of folks are, well, what happened to ICA? ICA is part of the HDX experience. So just so you know, when you think, oh, what's happening to ICA? You guys renaming something. It's part of what we call our HDX experience. And when we think about HDX, it's really about, and especially with mobility, with our tablets, with these other devices, it's taking that experience, that's something that we do very well, down to those devices now. With enhanced ability to support 3G connections, really being able to deliver desktops, apps, video, all of those pieces down to those types of environments, which is critical because, again, most of us are using these devices. Mobile SDK. So this is probably one of the biggest pieces. I mean, this is what I'm a huge fan of because when we think about majority of the applications that we're serving to our customers, especially if they're on a tablet, and I know all of us who have had tablets are dealing with this problem, they're either a native written application or you're getting a Windows-based application that point blank probably wasn't very suited for touch. So if you've had it gone on, all of us have probably logged onto a desktop on our tablet, right? I mean, we've all kind of probably logged into a desktop and there's a start menu and it's the start menu and then I got to go and I'm touch. It just doesn't work as well as it should. With HDX and the Mobility SDK, you can actually write the skins. You can write the interface to the applications, allowing our developers, partners like GTC to leverage their expertise in development and actually write custom front ends to your desktops, to your applications, and allowing them to become much more touch friendly. If we get some opportunity after I'm done here, you guys can come by and I can show you some of the different desktop applications and the way we can kind of skin them. Very powerful. These are a few examples. So Avanade, one of our partners, went out and developed these for a couple of different customers. One of them on the left-hand side, your right-hand side, was for a doctor, it was basically an EMR type application. But again, of course, if you look at an EMR application on top of your laptop, it looks, you can use it and you can really navigate through it. But you put it on a tablet or on something that's more touch-oriented, it just doesn't work the same. It's very difficult to work with them because you're trying to touch, you're missing the record, there's a lot of issues that you face. With these type of environments, they wrote it very quickly. They were .NET based, right? Boom, they punched these out pretty quick. Now the customer is just ecstatic. Hey, this is a whole different environment that I use when I'm on my tablet. Works the same, and I can do my job quick and easy. So real quick on XenDesktop 7, a kind of a combination of things. So any app and desktop, delivered over HDX to any device. We talk about HDX mobile, but the reality is we're talking about any device. Thin clients, laptops, tablets, phones, all of this slew of devices that's coming into the environment now, being able to deliver those. But what was always missing? What's the one type of user out there that nobody wanted to touch for fear of just, wow, this is pretty intense, these guys. These guys are the CAD developers, right? These are the big data guys. Nobody wanted to touch them with a virtual desktop because you were like, whoa, this is pretty intense, because why? They need graphics support. They got to have graphics cards. They got to have the ability to offload, and the processing goes through a graphics card. And this is really the critical thing here. So VDI was always very difficult, if you think about it, because VDI is running on a hypervisor. And the hypervisor, most servers don't have graphics cards in them, right? I mean, if you think about it, you're not buying the server and saying, hey, throw a graphics card in there too. You buy the server and have the hypervisor laid on top of it. There really isn't any GPU type support. That's changing. It's changing now. This was the second announcement that happened at Citrix, and it was our announcement of our support of the K cards and the grid cards from NVIDIA. NVIDIA has worked very closely with us to help enable these. So what I'm going to do is I'm a risk taker, and this could just blow up right in my face, right? But that's fine, because why not, right? We're here. I'm on a MiFi, and this is going to be fun because I'm on a handheld mic, and I'm doing this. But that's all right, because we're risk takers here. So let me log in real quick here to a virtual environment. And this is actually hosted in, let me see if I can get this going real quick. This is actually hosted in, let's see, Dallas, off of one of our data centers, actually up in SoftLayer. And let's see, go right up here. Again, this is a little more difficult than normal. Should be more touch-friendly, hopefully, here, eventually. But the reality here is this is hosted in a data center in SoftLayer running out of Dallas. And we actually have this running on top of one of our K cards, one of the NVIDIA's K cards. So this allows us to access this. Now, again, this should be pretty cool because it's actually coming off of a MiFi. So if this actually works, the proof's in the pudding, right? The proof is in the pudding. So hold on 1 second. Turn this off for 2 seconds, and I'll turn it back on. Okay, I can go one-handed now. So logging into a web interface, everybody's familiar with kind of the web interface accesses are, basically giving us access to the applications, the desktops. So in this particular use case, I just logged in. It's going to give me access to my apps, my desktops. I'm going to go get a desktop. So I'm going to go get a Windows 7 desktop. It's a hosted VDI session, so here's where the magic happens. And here's where we pray to the demo gods that everything works good. And here it comes. So very powerful when we start to think about accessing pretty straightforward Windows 7 desktop. Now the difference here is that this particular desktop is being ran on a hypervisor and it's passing through to a graphics card. So this is very unique when you think about what we're doing here. Now I have the capability of pretty much running any type of application, any user now. When we talk about any user, any device, anyness, this is really part of that storyline because the reality is, I can get this running good. There we go. The reality is, let's just do Google Earth. This is always a good demo. Again, my MiFi is going to choke on me, I'm sure, while I'm doing this. So, let it connect. And again, I apologize. This is going to be my MiFi, like I told you. I'm a risk taker. The reality is what happens here is, as the desktop connects, it's going to look and go and really and start to realize, yeah, that's fine, Google Earth. Let's roll. All right. Just fine. Give it 2 seconds, let it run. Perfect. So again, with an OpenGL type application, right, you realize that this application is pretty heavy. And even running through this, and again, going over a MiFi that's pretty congested with everybody's MiFi's running in the room and everything else that everybody's doing. So the fact that I'm even trying this is pretty crazy. Fortunately, the hotel wireless was a little shady, right? But the reality is, right, the fact that I can log into my desktop and access these kind of applications is critical. When you're thinking about, running applications like CATIA, running applications like Dassault, running applications that are big data, we now have that support. That's that anyness, right? We talked about any desktop, any application, anyness, really. This is really what it's all about. When we can go in and actually access any kind of desktop and be able to do our jobs. In fact, I could probably log on to my laptop, on my tablet, and just move that desktop right over to my tablet and be doing the same type of task, which we know a tablet is not meant for. There's no way a tablet was ever designed to run an AutoCAD or a GPU-intensive type of application. It just doesn't work. But being able to run those remotely and be able to share that GPU resource, this takes it to the next level. And this was a huge development task with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now putting out, again, the K cards, and they're called K cards and grid cards. These are fantastic. I recommend you talk to GTC a little bit more about them, and as they start to move forward here and roll these out, take a look at what it can do for your desktop virtualization environment. Enormous. So let's dive in here and get back into the presentation, a few more of the updates that are happening. So Zen Desktop 7, really, taking, again, the cloud environment to the next level. Folks that are at heavy design shops, heavy engineering shops, medical, right? Even think about the folks that have huge PACS environments or have to see very critical data that's graphically intensive. This has always been a challenge. That challenge has now been solved. So take a look at this. Very powerful. Again, did my demo, so I'll move past that. I jumped ahead a little bit. I was excited. So again, getting into the grid cards. So a quick shot of them, what they look like. Very, very powerful. And sharing those GPUs across, and in fact, not just with Zen Desktop, but also with Zen App and our hosted shared desktop model. So if you're a big Zen App customer that likes to just leverage the desktops from there, being able to slice up that GPU and share it out to the different desktops that are being, you're being served. This is one of the most powerful pieces of technology, and really working together with NVIDIA, this changes the game in a big way. So take a look at these as you move forward. Quickly move through this. Again, really OpenGL support, industry first, direct GPU sharing, and again, passing it through from a hypervisor. We're taking the advantage of separating that virtual machine from the hardware, but yet still giving it the opportunity to go talk to that GPU. That is huge when you think about this capability. Really expands the use cases. So Zen Desktop 7, and one of the unique pieces of it that we announced again at Synergy, VDI Edition, Enterprise Edition, and our Platinum Edition. But now we have our App Edition. The App Edition really gives you the ability to just focus on delivering applications out. Delivering those via Zen App 6.5. So big announcements here. Again, HDX 3D support with GPU sharing. Very critical when we think about the technology and what we can do. Mobile SDK. So again, being able to deliver a shared desktop that looks exactly like Windows 7, where as a user, you could sit a Windows 7 VDI desktop next to a hosted shared desktop. And I used to do this at some trade shows. And I'd say, guess which one is the real Windows 7? And everybody would, 50-50 obviously, so it's, you've got a good shot. But typically people would point to, the hosted shared, which is really a terminal services desktop that's skinned to look like Windows 7. And you think about why that's important. Well, it's density. VDI has a very good density, but you're talking hundreds. Where you're, in low hundreds typically, right? And what you can support on a server basis. When you start to move towards Zen App and looking at it from a hosted shared desktop in that standpoint, you start to think about, multiple hundreds. You really start to ramp up into a lot of folks that you can support on the one server that you typically would have to spread across a pretty large VDI environment. So it's critical when you're thinking about the users. And this ability now to be able to support any type of user, that any application, is critical. Link 2013 support, another very important piece. Automated P2V, again, coming through with our Platinum offering with AppDNA, very powerful. Being able to migrate quickly is essential. It's not part of the problem or part of this. It's essential. You have to be able to migrate quickly and be able to take your environment from previous Zen App environments and move them to the latest and greatest. But not just Zen App environments. AppDNA is much bigger than that, much more richer with technology and functionality. Even taking from desktop migration. I may be just migrating over from Windows XP to Windows 7. I got to know very quickly what type of applications are going to be supported. So being able to do that very fast and very easily, definitely recommend talking to the AppDNA folks in the back. Very powerful tool. Available June Well, this month, obviously. I'm in June. So available this month. Great offering. Feature Pack 2 coming out very quickly, and Zen Desktop 7. So really, any user, any device, anytime, anywhere, any place, anytime, this is critical to do your job. So Zen Mobile, and we're going to run through this pretty quickly. So Zen Mobile, really going mobile is critical here. So what's Zen Mobile all about? Zen Mobile is about a couple of things. It's about procuring, really, taking your device and bringing it into the corporate environment. It is your device, after all, right? It is your machine. You're bringing a personal device into the environment, and you're saying, okay, I still got to do my job. And IT says, I still need to control or help control some of these devices, some of your device, so that you can do your job, but I still want to give you your private. So if you ever leave the company, or you move on, or it's a contractor that's coming in for a set period of time, that they can then bring that in and basically move them outside of the organization and not affect any of their own personal information that's on that device. So provisioning is critical when you start to think about what's going on out there. You have to be able to provision that device to make sure that you have control, or some control, especially control over your data and your information. So it's IT's information that all we're worrying about. So when you come in, they have to provision it. And we do that really with a couple of tools, but you also need to get your desktops and your applications. And so having Zen Mobile be integrated into Zen Desktop and Zen App allows me to enhance and really extend out even my current investment. So if I'm already a Zen App customer or a Zen Desktop customer, and now I want to really adopt and take on these mobility people, these laptops, these tablets, and start developing some sort of solution for this, I can do that rapidly. So we'd like to announce at Synergy, and again today I'll announce really the Works enroll. So we started to rename the product a little bit. You'll start to see this Works, W-R-X, right? This is where you enroll the device. You simply go to the App Store, download it, press click, installs the actual Works enroll, and then you put your credentials in, and it starts to set up the device how it needs to be based on certain policies that you're going to push down onto the device. Now, again, we're not trying to take over the entire device. This is the critical piece here, right? We're not. I mean, the IT could, in theory, do that if they wanted to, but the reality is, again, this is your device. I mean, you think I was crazy if I took over your device. You bring in your own device and you go, I'm going to take over that whole thing, so everything you do I can watch and see and basically monitor. I probably wouldn't go over very well with the C-level guys and everybody else in there because they got a lot of critical things that they're doing. But the ability to really fine-tune that enrollment to say, this device, this particular bubble on the device, I'm controlling. So everything that goes into that bubble is mine, is IT's. So enrolling the device. And then Works Home. So this is really where we start to manage the policies. This is the store. So you can actually even host your own internal store, which is critical. As you start to think about how people work with mobile applications, especially native mobile applications. I'm on my iPad. I want to be able to go in, see the applications that are developed for me that are secure, that IT is delivering, and be able to push those down into the environment. Applications are also very, if you think about it, again, I have my applications, and then I have, the applications that IT is pushing down. So being able to secure those with what we call our MDX technology, this allows us to really control the application, very granular level. So not just, to the point of saying, who can use it or you have to log in a certain thing, but also how it connects back into our corporate environments. So a lot of folks look at mobility and say, well, if I want to allow your tablet to connect to my corporate environment, what would you think I would do, right? I'd probably put a VPN client on there somewhere, right? And then punch it through on the other end, and off I go. Problem is, right, is that the whole device is now connected to your corporate infrastructure. I get back to the same exact struggles that I just talked about. I can't really allow that personal device to connect right back into my corporate environment because there's lots of things on there that I probably not really interested in have run around in my corporate environment. So this allows us to really leverage what we call a micro VPN, which is an app-specific VPN. It opens up a tunnel per app. That's critical. It makes it very secure. And again, I control that as IT. Very powerful. I control my inter-app communication. I control my policies and my single sign-on capabilities, all from this interface. So when people are going mobile, this is how they go mobile. You get the app, the user gets their app and the data they need to do their jobs, and IT ultimately gets the control. That's really what we're trying to deliver with Zen Mobile. very powerful, really takes that step into adopting for yourselves and for your organizations those BYO programs, allowing your users to be more flexible in how they do their jobs. This is what's critical with how we're moving forward. So a couple other applications that are critical: Works Mail, Works Web. So when you think about Apple or an iPad, even your Android device, you have the native email on there, correct? So what do most people first thing they do? They get that email and they connect it to their Exchange server, which is an ActiveSync server, which, by the way, is publicly accessible. So if you're not, again, paying attention there, you just realize that you have a publicly accessible piece of your infrastructure, especially so mission critical for Exchange, because to even do that, you have to have it exposed. So very critical when you think about what's happening there. By the way, they also have all of the corporate data sitting on their iPad, which we do have mechanisms. Outlook has mechanisms. Exchange has mechanisms that they can kind of click and say, hey, we control this, right? And we can manage this. But it's not the same when you think about when they leave. If I drop that device, somebody can just pick it up and start looking at my emails. It's not a very secure way to deliver it. With Works Mail, I have an email system inside of the bubble that goes back and connects again via my micro VPN back into my corporate environment. Now I have a secure communication that as IT, if you lose that device, I just turn you off and it wipes it out. Gone, bye-bye. No more data there, nothing's there. Works Web gives me the capability to attach to my internal websites. So again, being able to VPN into those websites is critical. Being able to attach to my corporate infrastructure via the web applications is critical. So Works Web. And then finally, ShareFile. So being able to, again, have my data synced inside the bubble so that now I have everything I need to do my job. I have my data, my applications. I can access my corporate infrastructure, my corporate intranets, everything in one simple fashion via our Works products. Revolutionary way to mobilize your business with Zen Mobile. Critical here. MDM edition. So if I just looking to manage the device, leverage the MDM edition. If I'm really looking for that end-to-end solution, we have what we call our Enterprise edition. Allows me to take on mobile application management, MDM, all of the pieces in between, and really secure that mobility service that I'm delivering out to my users. And announced at Synergy, the App Edition. So for those folks that already have MDM solutions in place, being able to, and all they really want to do is just take on the applications. How am I going to be able to deliver the apps out to my users? And how can I securely, lock them down and manage them? With the App Edition, you can do that. Again, available in June, or this month. Works App SDK. This is the other piece of the puzzle. So again, I talked about applications that you can get from Citrix. But what about all those other applications? What about those custom applications that I need to do my job? How do I go about doing them? How do I start to leverage these third-party applications? Well, we've worked with a lot of vendors. We created an app SDK that you can actually sign based on our policies, right, the application. You can containerize this application and deliver it. So that makes it very powerful. And right now, for all the coders in the room, love that, available today. So right now we've been working with numerous application developers out there to basically across the board, from our healthcare applications to financial customers to some of the basic iPad applications. And that'll deliver out to you all the different pieces. So Works across the board and mobility. One last piece here, and I'll move really quickly because we're running out of time, and I appreciate your guys' time and respect it. The over 80 apps that are already mobilized, ready to go, and then the Works app gallery coming soon. Again, any device, any user, any Windows or a mobile application. So really being able to deliver that anyiness. Now, last but not least, and I'll run through this very quickly, but make sure you understand this is a very critical part to delivering a mobility strategy, which is the network. How do you secure the network? How do you make sure that you deliver the optimum scalability to the network? We do that with our NetScaler product lines. So again, very, very rich product. For those in the networking side of the business, full application layer and security layer visibility, high scale, inside analytics, all the way down the path. So tri-scale technology, very quickly here, allows you the ability to scale up, scale in, or scale out. What we mean by that is with the scale-up model, being able to take via license only, instead of having to rip and tear massive hardware in and out, license up to new throughput, new features and functionalities on the same piece of hardware so you're not ripping and tearing. Scaling in, being able to virtualize and run numerous NetScalers on top of a single platform. Very critical here. And then scale out, really clustering, adding devices into it. So when you think about cloud environments, everybody's looking to cloudify their own internal IT organization. This is how you do it. Being able to take the investment that you have and scale up in a very affordable way. Be able to, consolidate and be able to take advantage of consolidation, then also even being able to cluster and being able to bring in more capacity. Physical, virtual, and platform with our SDX, VPX, and our MPX technologies. Real quick on the SDX, really application defined, right? This is really where we start to bring in folks that are looking to take their solutions and run them on top of other platforms. So when we think about it, with full hardware isolation, we want to make sure that we have the ability to run other components on top of these. And you'll see some of our partners here allowing us that ability to run on top of our SDX platform. Very critical. So again, taking the next step for anyness. Any service from anywhere. And wrapping up, right? Work anywhere, made anywhere, and the power of anyness, really. This is what Citrix is all about. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming. Thank you to the partners who are here, are also joint Citrix partners. We work together very closely, developing fantastic solutions for you folks. So I appreciate your time. Hopefully this was of value to you, and look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Keith and GTC, and look forward to talking to you guys later. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I was that good, huh? That complete, huh? Yeah, please. Please, I'll be around.